There it is. I was going to try and do a rap reference, Paul and I, and just keep your ears up because Paul and I have been we've challenged one another to put at least one rap lyric in each of our videos.
Yeah. Paul and Saul, real name, no gimmicks.
Exactly.
I'm Paul. I'm Saul. And we're back for another banger.
Yes. Another spicy one about what is going to become partially downtown Niceville, but also kind of the area more generally. People have been talking about this community redevelopment agency a lot more recently because of the downtown portion, the Old Town Landing portion of it. But we want to talk about, is this even a good idea? Is this even something that we should even be putting money into, or are we just kind of like wasting cash just for funsies?
It's going to change the landscape of Niceville.
Yes.
Super important.
And well, I for one, I'm for it for the most part. I think there's some things that maybe don't need to be done. But let's just talk about what a CRA is first for people that are not government nerds.
It's the Community Redevelopment Agency, and it's a group, mostly government, but some citizens and businesses and developers are involved as well, to help revitalize Niceville, certain geographic regions of Niceville, in the hopes to drive more commerce and bring more people to Niceville.
And so it's not just the Old Town Landing that we're talking about. I'm going to post this up on a map right now.
There's a map. We know maps are important. We're going to put them.
We love maps. People told us they love maps. We're going to give the people maps.
More maps.
That area in the purple is the CRA. As you can see, it goes all the way up to College Boulevard. It includes Turkey Creek. It includes places to the east of the Old Town Landing. And basically what it is a taxing area that allows the city to reinvest tax revenue specifically into that area to revitalize it. And what the city's goal is basically, and we talked about this before the show started, think about an artificial reef, right? When you go out into the Gulf of Mexico off of the coast of Destin, there's a bunch of white sand and nothing else. And that is not conducive to bill fishing and aquatic ecosystems, right?
Yeah, free diving, all that's
the
fun
cool
stuff.
Right? And so what this is trying to do, similar to when we plunk an artificial reef like the SS United States here in the next couple of weeks.
More on that later.
Not
in this episode.
Not in this episode. Yeah, that's true. I don't have that kind of time.
Yeah.
And basically what it does, you plunk it down and stuff, a couple of, what are those things that glom on to stuff? Barnacles start catching on. And
you get sea life.
The sea
and
life.
More life, and it just...
And then all of a sudden, you have a whole ecosystem there. And that's basically what they're trying to do with the CRA.
Well, here's my take. Yeah. People go to Fairhope, Alabama, because it looks nice. It's by the water, and it has things like that to offer. Like, people are literally going there as a small town. Niceville can totally have that. And I think the CRA is something over the long term that provides a vehicle for that to happen. And besides all the other benefits, right, that you just talked about, there's going to be zoning and density changes, future land use things that are put into place that make it so that it's easier to update and bring new things to Niceville that are within that development region. And I actually think the CRA would probably be bigger, except for the historical fact that there are spots in Niceville that belong to the county. Mm-hmm. One house is in the county, the next house over is in the city, and it's very splotchy, especially kind of in the southeastern part of Niceville. So the CRA, we already showed you the map, primarily covers the west part of Niceville and over to Turkey Creek and Parton. And
let me switch over to another map that shows the city of Niceville's boundary limits, and you can see why all that stuff kind of in that peninsula. They call it Hattie's Grove on Google Maps, but I've never heard somebody refer to it as that.
Yeah, some of that's in the city and some of that's in the county. And so Cedar, which runs north to south, is sort of the easternmost boundary for the CRA.
Yes. Why is this important? Why does this matter? Because we are running out of space. And I think that we're having to make some hard decisions about how to use our land well, and use it to where people can generate money and get jobs that are not on the base. No offense, Eglin, we love you, but having jobs that are not Eglin-based jobs for people like yours truly who don't do math, those are still needed as well. And if we want to have a vibrant community where people actually want to live, we can't just have the base and nothing else.
Well, and the city recently did an interview with a news organization we won't mention in Pensacola.
How dare they?
No, it was fantastic. To talk about the historic downtown waterfront area and a little bit about that project. And I think that's going to be tremendous. And I'll put a plug in because I know it's important to the city. They're not closing down Bayshore. Do not freak out. They're not closing down Bayshore to traffic. You'll be able to drive on it even after this is all done. But the CRA is already in move. It's already in flight. Not only that project, but you've seen things like the signs around Niceville that point to important areas. You have Turkey Creek, which has been built out and is continuing to grow. And you also have, the big sign by Turkey Creek. That's part of it. The big Niceville sign that's over by Turkey Creek is part of kind of a CRA development as well. And so you see the city starting to invest and do those things.
It's the difference between like a house and a home, right? If you have an empty apartment with no walls and nothing on it, well, that's a structure.
Right.
But when you have stuff that makes us unique and special and proud of where we're from and being able to point to stuff, even if it's little stuff, right? Like even there's a little statue of the Triple C Civilian Conservation Corps worker that's in the Turkey Creek complex. And we in Niceville had the first Civilian Conservation Corps unit in all of Florida that was here during the Great Depression to build stuff and give people jobs and get us out of that economic hole that we were in for 10 years.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, it's little stuff like that that makes a place different and special and unique and makes you proud to be from somewhere. Kind of like the Niceville Eagle football team, man. Like, they're a good football team, and by darn, we're all proud of them, right?
Playoff team.
But it's a playoff team. I'm trying to think of other little things without thinking of businesses. Northwest Florida State College, having a great basketball team and baseball team and softball team.
And hopefully a new president soon. Well, the other thing you're going to see with the CRA, and I think it's sort of already working a little bit, and this will take some more time for it to develop, but it is a partnership, not an official partnership, but a partnership between entrepreneurs and developers and the city government. You're starting to see that like along Central Parton, where you're seeing more redevelopment, where you have PB&J Cafe, the Bayou Pub, you have Wanda Coffee, you have you just have all of those areas that are just starting to look fresher, look nicer, are more walkable. You're just going to have more of that. MJ's Coffee has done a bunch of stuff recently to their building to build community, including a grassy area out back that they can get people together on. And so I think you're starting to see it. And I think it's just going to take time to get the ball rolling and more momentum to occur.
And I would say that there's even the beginnings of really good partnerships there. I think you were the one that told me that the city is going to close down, what's the name of the tree? It's the road.
Elm?
They're going to close it down during the Veterans Day Parade this weekend so that there can be small vendor shop area places.
So I don't think that'll happen for the Veterans Day Parade, but probably in time for Christmas,
but even
the Christmas Day Parade.
I mean, for them to do something like that is unprecedented.
I mean, inherently, that road is quasi-closed already just because of the parade route, but like kind of giving a thumbs up to be able to hold an event there like that is pretty cool. And I'll shout out Central Parton again. They're going to have a military presence in the parking lot there for kids to come see for the Veterans Day Parade. And there'll be a lot of things occurring right on Parton, besides just sitting and watching the parade. So that'll be exciting.
Yeah. And so for the journalism part of this, my big question when we were talking about this before we actually started the show is how are we going to pay for all this? And
sure.
I think that that's a really important question because it also kind of determines what gets built. Of course, the city can pay for some of the remodeling and then sell off the property. They were talking about that a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
We have an article about that, and I'll put it in the show notes for you guys so you can kind of figure out how they go about that stuff. But there's, not only the money that would come from the city, grant money from the state and the feds, block development grants, community development block grants, CDBGs. There are, private investment that can be in a public-private partnership on this kind of stuff. But just for the Old Town Landing, this is not cheap infrastructure building, right? Just for the Old Town Landing, that's, I think, like 6 acres. It's going to be $6.2 million. The city estimated 2 years ago that it would be $6.2 million to kind of get this whole thing fixed up.
And a lot of that is like building out the pier, building out the like cobblestone and kind of infrastructure. You have to have water and sewer.
Just the stuff you don't think about.
Yeah. I mean, it's basically to prep it so that developers can take over after that.
It's a shovel-ready project.
I don't like that term, but okay.
I hate it. There it is. I was going to try and do a rap reference, Paul and I, and just keep your ears out because Paul and I have been we've challenged one another to put at least one rap lyric in each of our videos.
Yeah. Paul and Saul, real name, no gimmicks.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Did you just do it?
I just did it.
It's not cool. I wasn't ready. See, anything I say now, if I say it right, it'll be too obvious. So now I have to sit on it.
Maybe you just cut that piece out and put it right at the front.
I knew that. But yeah, so $6.2 million is kind of what they were looking at 2 years ago. I'm sure it's gone up. So whatever 10% of 6.2 is, so 0.62, 2.8. Yeah.
They put contingency. There's probably 20% contingency in there.
You have to get the money, though.
Yeah.
Dollar.
Yeah, dollar bills.
That's what we have this week. Let us know what you think about the CRA and investing money in a place like this. If you really hate this idea, speak now or forever hold your peace, because it looks like it's starting to get some momentum.
Yeah, our title's a little bit clickbait, but I mean, honestly, like there's probably people who do think this is a bad idea. So leave a comment. Let us hear about it.
We are obviously on one side of this, but that doesn't mean that we're right and we have all the answers. We'd love to hear from what you guys think so that we can adjust our opinions accordingly. That's ultimately what we want to do with this, this show, is learn a little bit more and be useful, at least starting a conversation. Yeah,
and the city's doing a great job. The manager and the deputy manager, I think, of laying the groundwork for this. It'll be also interesting to see if the planning board and the commissioners follow suit with allowing people to kind of update zoning and do the things necessary to make the CRA come to fruition.
And ultimately, it's a very long project. I mean, it's 25, 30 years, and we're already kind of halfway through this thing. Yeah. And so the 10% of people that actually vote in municipal elections have a lot to do with this. If you're part of the other 90%, you're basically telling the rest of us that we can do whatever we want. So I guess thanks. But also feel free to vote. The next election is coming up in March of 2025. So we would like to see you at the polls, and I'm going to start hammering that and giving you guys more information on that. But that's all we really have today.
It's a good one. It's short.
That's how we're rolling now. I think we're doing these 10-minute spots, and they seem to be getting more traction. So if you like this, if you hate this, also comment on that, because we need advice, as we are not geniuses.
Yeah. All right. Be nice, Niceville.
You heard the man.
Peace.